Okay, now.
Are you ready?
Join on a corner where the big boys claim.
Oh, what's going on, everybody? Good morning. Oh, super excited about today's episode that we are going to be talking about today. This is another episode of Ask StreamYard, and my name is Melanie Diane Howe. I appreciate you all being here today. I am a live streaming mentor, and I am a lover of StreamYard because it's such a great application. So super excited to be a part of the Ask StreamYard show and the StreamYard family, of course. This week, we are going to be answering a great question. In fact, we're going to be talking about two questions that were submitted, but they are related to the same topic of multi-streaming. So we're going to be diving into that today. But before we get started, I got to give some shout outs, got to say hello. We got the Philippines cheeks in the house. What's up? Hello. Okay, from Chicago. Exciting to see you. Rio 197 is here once again. Hello from Montreal. Robert from KC on the way to Centennial. Fantastic. There you go. Listen in the car, maybe, assuming. Christine's watching from Boston. We've got Mike, of course, from Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. So super excited to have you guys here today. Definitely let me know where you're watching from. I'm excited to be here. You guys, when I saw this list, when I saw these questions posted, what we do is the Ask StreamYard show. Let me just explain how this works really briefly. So essentially, if you have a question for us about live streaming, you can post that question and use the hashtag #AskStreamYard. And we review these questions, we look at these things, and we're like, man, is that one juicy? Is that one beefy? Is that one good? Is that one that others will benefit from? And if we think so, then we're going to grab that question and we're going to feature it in an Ask StreamYard show where we're going to come on and we're going to answer the question, but we're also going to take a deeper dive, maybe add a couple of other tips and tricks or strategies that will help you. So that's essentially what we did. And when I saw this one, I was like, I want that one. I want that one. I want to talk about multi-streaming because it's such a fun topic. And also, I don't know about you, but when I think about multi-streaming and when I actually do multi-streaming, it just makes me feel like special. It makes me feel like so pro, right? So pro. But I also see a lot of added benefits when we do positive and good, I guess I'll say well-conducted multi-streams. So we're going to be talking about that today because we did get that question. So what is up? We got all kinds of people. We got Thailand in the house. We got Australia in the house. Oh my gosh, we got all kinds of people. So Aussie K-Pop Mom TV, it's so great to see you back again for in the comments on another episode here for us, for sure. So we got Guatemala, Jonathan from Guatemala in the house. Susan is here. Hello, Alabama. Fantastic. We have more Philippines in the house. Fantastic. Marianne Sanchez is here as well. So, all right, you guys, how can log into this site? Well, just go to StreamYard.com and sign up for StreamYard and you can log in. It's pretty easy. StreamYard doesn't use passwords. I do love that actually because there's a lot of benefits to that. You log in with an email and create an account with an email, and then they're going to send you a code and you log in with the code. It's pretty easy. So if you have any questions, just email us at support. What is up, Brock? Hello. We got more people from the Philippines. Philippines representing today. My goodness. Hello, everyone from the Philippines. Okay, you guys, we're going to get started. We're going to dive in. So again, as I mentioned, this is the Ask StreamYard show. So today we're talking about multi-streaming, and that is because we had a couple people submit some questions. So I'm going to pull these questions up quickly, briefly, and then I'm going to kind of dive in to both of these questions. So let me just give you why we're talking about this today. So Tim said, is it best to stream across as many platforms as possible or pick one platform to maximize that experience? Oh, Tim, I am so glad you asked, honestly. So I love his approach to this, meaning keywords here, right? Keywords here, as many platforms as possible or pick one platform to maximize that experience? Love that question. So that's the first question. We also had Teresa, who also submitted a question. Now, she's got a show. She's doing Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Right now, she's only streaming to the Facebook page. So she's asking, should I go live on my other Facebook pages at the same time? And will all the comments show up in one place, or will they be scattered around on the pages? I'm trying to build the audience watching, yada, 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 right? So we're going to dive into this. So here's the deal. Today we're talking about multi-streaming, but here's what I want to make sure we understand. What is multi-streaming? Some of you might be like, what is multi-streaming? I don't even understand what that is. So right now we're actually multi-streaming. So we are multi-streaming to multiple social media platforms at the same time. And what that means is we're live. So some of you are watching on Facebook, right? Some of you are watching. So we have right here, we have Hanako watching from Tokyo. I probably did not say your name properly, and I apologize if I did not. But we're watching from Tokyo on Facebook, but then over here from India on YouTube, right? Different channels, different platforms. We are currently multi-streaming. We are streaming on Facebook, on our Facebook page, the StreamYard Facebook page. We are also streaming into our Facebook group, the StreamYard Facebook community, which if you're not part of that community, you should totally join it. And then we are also streaming to YouTube, our StreamYard YouTube channel, which, by the way, if you're not subscribed yet, you should subscribe, right? Now, the other places that we're streaming, hold on, I gotta sneeze. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so the other places that we are streaming to, we're actually streaming to LinkedIn as well. And we are also streaming to Twitter, okay? So we're multi-streaming. We're on multiple platforms here. So multi-streaming means you are going live in more than one location at the same time. So StreamYard is automatically integrated with these super popular platforms, including Twitch, which we're not streaming to right now. Now, there's also an option for you if you wanted to stream to another application or place, right? Where you can create a video experience that's not automatically integrated through the API, you could use custom RTMP. So we have a video about custom RTMP. We actually have a blog post about custom RTMP as well. If you're like, what the heck is she talking about? This video is not about RTMP, but you can also add other destinations that are custom using RTMP. So that is also an option for you as well. Now, keep in mind, StreamYard makes it super, super easy to do this. You literally add whatever destination options you want, and then you simply, when you create your broadcast, as long as you are on either the basic plan or the professional plan, you can select these different destinations that you want to go live to at the same time, and you are live in those destinations at the same time. Now, we have a really easy tutorial video out there. Christian, I see that you are here. Do me a favor, Christian. Put that link in the comments for me so that we can make sure that everybody sees that article, and that would be fantastic. So I actually can link to that in the article in the comments as well, now that I just thought about it, because it's right here in my notes, y'all. And guess what? I can post that comment everywhere except inside the Facebook group, right? Or also except Twitter, and then I believe LinkedIn also is limited. So that we're going to get to that in a moment, because there are some limitations when it comes to how you can interact with your multi-streams, right? Okay, so that's what multi-streaming is. Now, as I said, StreamYard makes it super easy. If you're on the basic plan, okay, let me back up. If you're using the free plan of StreamYard, which is fantastic, very generous, amazing features. You can display comments, you can create banners, you can do so many great things. You can share your screen, you can have guests on screen. The list goes on. However, you cannot multi-stream. So if you want to be using StreamYard to multi-stream, you will need to be on either the basic plan, which allows you to stream to 3 destinations at the same time, or you need to be on our professional plan, which allows you to stream to 8 destinations at the same time. Now, that is how those plans are structured as of right now. That, of course, could change in the future if you're watching this replay later down the road. Outside of July 21st, who knows, maybe it will change. But as of right now, you would need to be on the basic plan for 3 destinations and the professional plan for 8 destinations. So that is what multi-streaming is. So hopefully we are all on the same page now, and we are going to be good to go. Now, I will say this. If anybody has any feature requests at all, or any specific support requests at all, do me a favor, understand that that isn't what today's show is. We're going to be talking about the strategy and all those things. You can 100% email support@streamyard.com if you have any support requests. If you have a feature request, you can also send your request to contact@streamyard.com. I will encourage you to be very specific, provide a lot of information about why you're asking for this feature request, why you need it, how you would use it, and how you feel others would benefit from it as well. And you never know, it just might help the developers at StreamYard decide that your feature request is legit, right? So today, though, we're talking about multi-streaming. So, all right, now I am going to answer questions. So if you guys have questions, hang on to those for me. Hang on to those because I am going to actually have a little bit of a Q&A. We're going to get to that. So hang on to those questions for me. Right now, I want to go through and I want to answer Tim's question first. So let's talk about Tim's question. He said, is it best to stream across as many platforms as possible or pick one platform to maximize that experience? Okay, Tim, here's my thoughts on this. It depends, which is what I always start so many of these strategy style questions with, because it really does depend. Now, all of you are maybe thinking the same thing. Okay, well, what is a benefit of multi-streaming? One really great benefit of multi-streaming is that you can expand your reach. If you have a really great show, you want to interview a guest, all right? Let's say you've got this awesome guest. That guest only has 45 minutes to allot for your interview. Well, you have an audience on Facebook and you have an audience on YouTube and you have an audience on LinkedIn, for example. Well, you need 45 minutes to do the interview. That guest only has 45 minutes. A benefit of multi-streaming would be you can use that one slot of 45 minutes and you can stream that interview to all 3 locations at the same time without having to repeat that live stream or repeat that interview. The other benefit, because it's live, is that you can feed questions and comments from each of those locations, right? So that's a wonderful benefit. Now, the other thing is that I will tell you is, let's say you're just getting started with live streaming and you're live streaming on Facebook, okay? You're growing your audience, you're using it for your Facebook group, you're using it on your Facebook page, you're really having a really great time and you're growing that audience. However, you also would like to start growing an audience on YouTube. Well, again, same scenario, right? You could start streaming your streams to YouTube at the same time, which is creating content, which is helping you show up in the algorithms, which is helping you show up in search. You're offering value. You have people, like we have people who prefer to tune in over on YouTube. And then we also have some people who don't prefer YouTube. They are on Facebook. That's where they're hanging out all day, maybe some too longer than they should be. And that's where they're hanging out. And that's where they want to consume our content. So you're giving people an option to follow you and tune in with you and learn with you in the environment that they want to learn in. That's an added benefit as well. And you're going to see growth in each of those platforms. So yes, there are absolutely benefits to multi-streaming in those aspects. However, back to Tim's question, he says, as many platforms as possible or pick one to maximize that experience. So I want to hit on this because this is the key part to this question. If you have a captive audience on Facebook and that is where all your people are hanging out and you don't have any audience on YouTube, then you need to be thoughtful about the content that you are going to multi-stream. For example, let's say you've got this amazing audience, you've got a Facebook group and you do a weekly live Q&A about, the stock markets or whatever it is that you do. And they are there, they're used to it. They know to show up at that time every week. If you start all of a sudden streaming that to YouTube, you don't have people on YouTube. The audience needs to get to know you first before they're ready for this live Q&A experience. So something to think about is that audience on that other platform ready for you? And the other thing to think about is, are you going to make that group of yours feel like you're taking something from them? Meaning, so again, Facebook groups, Facebook communities is definitely a key thing for all of you to think about. That group needs to have some sort of like exclusivity. There needs to be like some incentive to being in the group versus just following you on your page, right? Now, a lot of people are there for the sense of community. Maybe they're getting extra support. Maybe you're providing exclusive content to them. So if you all of a sudden start taking that exclusive live videos that you're doing and you're now blasting it everywhere else, you might lose a little bit of that loyalty or feeling from your group members. So again, think about the content strategy and what content makes sense to start streaming everywhere. Now, I love the idea of maybe you have something you want to teach that day. You're like, you know what? I got this really great tutorial, or I've got this really great educational piece of content. I think that there are people on YouTube searching for this information. Well, then go ahead and stream it, multi-stream it, right? Go ahead. I do think you have to be careful. Now, you are going to see that when you stream to one location, you have that captive audience. There they are, right? But when you start multi-streaming, you're mixing your audiences. And the other thing to think about is, does that make sense? Is it okay to mix your audiences, right? So, there are some people that have a YouTube channel and it's a hobby channel. And then they also have a Facebook page or a Facebook profile that's very different, or a LinkedIn account where they're connections. It's just a whole different world, right? It may not make sense for you to multi-stream the hobby content over here on YouTube to the LinkedIn content over here. So again, be thinking about your audiences in each of the platforms. I'm going to give a quick example of one of our loyal users and listeners, and we featured her question on the show before. Her name is PokeGal. She has a YouTube channel that it's all about Pokemon, and it's fantastic and it's awesome, and she's fun and she's quirky. She's also an attorney. And her LinkedIn kind of world is more of the attorney world. It probably doesn't make sense for her to multi-stream that content about Pokemon over on her LinkedIn profile, because that's not how she's using LinkedIn, right? So be thoughtful about your content and how you're using each platform. So that's something else that I would like to make sure I pointed out for sure, right? Okay. All right. Again, I see lots of questions. I also see a lot of repeat comments. So a lot of repeat comments. There's no need to repeat your comments. I'm also not going to answer feature requests or support issues today, unless you have a question about multi-streaming. So if you have a question or an issue or something you want the StreamYard team to address, if it's a support issue, just email support@streamyard.com. If you have a feature request, send it over to contact@streamyard.com. So again, awesome. So fantastic. I'm glad you guys care. I'm glad that we're all here, but I'm not going to be addressing any support questions or those types of things. And again, no reason to repeat your questions. I don't want to call anybody out. Okay. I don't want to have to call anybody out. And I don't want to have to put anybody on pause either. So let's not take over the comments, right? Let's be good. Let's be good here. I don't want to have to do that, right? Okay, here we go. Oh my gosh, so many questions about features and questions. Also, check out our YouTube channel, because I see a couple questions, and I will tell you right now, there are videos that answer your questions over on YouTube as well as our StreamYard blog. So make sure you check that out for sure. Okay, here we go. I'm just checking in on everybody, right? John Pullum in the house. He's funny. He's always funny. Mr. John, always making us all laugh, right? So funny stuff. Okay. All right, here we go. Here's what we're going to do. The other thing I want to talk about, so I just answered Tim's question, right? He was basically like, should I use one or should I use multiple platforms? And I kind of went through a few things where it depends. Now, Teresa had some questions about how the functionality works in regards to, how this works. She says, first of all, should I go live on my other Facebook pages at the same time? Let me answer that one first. Should I go live on my other Facebook pages at the same time? Again, what I'm going to point out here is what matters here is, do your other Facebook pages, is the audience on those other Facebook, is it all related, right? So again, let's say one of your Facebook pages is about, stock trading. And then you have another Facebook community or Facebook page that is, about your band that you're in, right? Probably doesn't make sense to multi-stream your content to both of those platforms, because those people who subscribe to each of those elements are subscribing for different things. These people are subscribed to you because of, which one did I do? Was this the band? This one was the band. This one's the stock exchange information, right? Yeah, maybe your stock exchange people they might like your music. I get that, but it doesn't make sense to mix that because they're not related. They will find and discover your band on their own if they want to. You can mention that stuff if you want, but I do not think it makes sense to multi-stream that content. And that is simply because you're going to turn people off. And the other thing that's going to happen, now I don't like to bring up the algorithms too much, but the algorithms are smart. They know that this is all about the band, and they know that this is all about finance and stock exchanges. And if all of a sudden over here you start talking about stock and stuff, the algorithms are going to get confused and be like, what is this person doing? So the algorithms definitely favor us when we have a bit more of niche-ish content, meaning our content is focused, it falls under a category, our followers can understand what's going on, they know what they're following, they know what they're consuming. So if you start mixing stuff, you actually do run the risk as well of confusing the algorithms and losing a little bit of that reach that we all want and we strive for. So there's that. So again, going back to, should she stream on all her pages? If all those pages are part of that ministry, or they all care about if the pages are all related to the same stuff, which could be faith-based, whatever, then maybe it does make sense, right? Maybe it does make sense. Maybe she's got 4 pages that are all around the same thing. Her page was DMO Ministries and Creative Arts. So, there's a couple things here, creative arts and the ministries. Here's the thing. If those other pages are about the arts or similar topics or similar interests, and you have like some guest who's going to come and speak that they all would care about, then yes, it makes sense to multi-stream that, right? So again, it all comes down to, does the audience on each of the locations, do they want to see or hear that content from you? And if they do, then you should consider multi-streaming for sure. The other thing to consider is your audience, mixing your audience together. Can that audience mix? Now, I'm going to give a really weird example, so just bear with me. But let's just say that you kind of have a couple of personas. Not that you're inauthentic or that you're two-faced, but let's just say, again, the way you are on LinkedIn is different than the way you might be on YouTube, even if it's the same content. Let's say you are a professional photographer, right? And all your stuff on LinkedIn and all your contacts and all your networking and all your content and how you're interacting on LinkedIn is, we'll say polished, a fairly buttoned up, fairly filtered, meaning you're not quite as, I'll say, creative, right? I'll just use that word. You are marketing to professionals. You are looking for those companies who need you to come into their organization and take great photos of their stuff, showcase their employees, et cetera, et cetera. You're probably interacting a certain way over here. Still the photographer that you are on YouTube, this might be the place where you are looking for personal clients, portraits, like personal portraits, or working with thought leaders and doing photo shoots for them. And maybe over here, you showcase a little bit of the edgier side to yourself. You're maybe a little bit more colorful with your words, okay? Think about the audience experience on this side over on YouTube with that persona. Again, you're not being inauthentic. You're just letting a little more of your personality out. We'll put it that way. But over here, you're just a little bit more filtered. I like to use the scenario of, this is you networking at the Chamber of Commerce event. This is you networking at the Beer Fest, right? You're probably dressed different. You probably are in a different mood. You maybe are having a few extra types of beverages over here. You're still the same person. You're just going to go into those a little different. The question is, when you think about multi-streaming, even though the content might be the same, your audience is used to more colorful language and other things. This audience is not. When you start meshing the world together, the comments are going to be intertwined. So, is your LinkedIn audience going to be turned off by the crowd over here? Okay. Again, thinking about a Chamber of Commerce luncheon, would you take all those people and say, come over to the Beer Fest? Now, some of them you would, and some of them would be like, I'm already going. But some of them would not want to come over there. And also vice versa. The people at the Beer Fest would be like, I don't want to go to a Chamber of Commerce luncheon right now. You know what I'm saying? So think about it that way. That's kind of a weird analogy, but that's the other thing you have to think about is, can you mix those audiences? Do they fit in the room together? Will they enjoy being in the room together, right? And so that's another thing to consider when it comes to multi-streaming. Okay, so I will tell you this can absolutely work. And you may be sitting here thinking, I don't really know. I don't know if my audiences will mix or mesh. Well, then give it a try. But you want to make sure that you absolutely let your audience know that you are multi-streaming. That's a key thing to do. Definitely let your audience know that you're multi-streaming as well. So in my world, when I started multi-streaming, I basically started multi-streaming because I could. And I was like, well, I might as well start creating content on YouTube because it's that easy. I'm already live streaming over here on Facebook. Why don't I just add my YouTube channel? Because of StreamYard, I did. That's actually why I did it. Next thing you know, my audiences kind of started mixing. And so this is another benefit. All this, I have a Facebook group, right? And I have been streaming to that Facebook group for a long time. A lot of the YouTube people were like, oh, I want to be in that group. And so I was driving traffic and I was also pointing people in the direction of where I wanted them to come and hang out with me further. And so that's another added benefit to live streaming. But again, that requires you to have a little bit of a strategy in mind, right? So be strategic about how you're using the content and how you want your audiences to mix. I basically was saying, hey, all you people on YouTube, if you want to come hang out with us in the group and kind of keep the conversation going, come join us. And so a lot of the people who have followed me on YouTube are in that Facebook group now. The other cool thing that's happened is those audiences have started to mix, right? They've started to mix. They've started to get to know each other. I just had a guy, John Pullum, actually on my show yesterday, and he's in my comments all the time on my stream. So my audience kind of knows him from the comments, from the mixing of them because of multi-streaming. And so that was a lot of fun to be able to do something like that. So there are a lot of really cool things where your audience can start to mix and actually get to know each other, start following each other. You can create community with your live videos in those comments if you're going live consistently. And with multi-streaming, you can be mixing these two audiences together and there could be great things that can happen. So I wanted to tell the other story or the analogy about the bar and the Chamber of Commerce thing because I want you to be aware. But at the same time, there are a lot of really great opportunities that can happen if your audiences do mesh and mix well. So I wanted to share that with you guys as well. So let me check in on you guys in the comments. Definitely got to see how we're doing here, right? How we're doing here. Oh, good question. So I am going to grab this question. So Joe says, should I stream from my personal page and group page at the same time? I noticed that it definitely brings down the engagement a little bit. So this is a great point. Now, the engagement factor coming down, multi-streaming shouldn't have any effect on that unless your audience, your viewers are kind of like, ooh, I'm not really sure about this. So again, this goes back to be very transparent and help your audience know that you are multi-streaming. Let them know why. Now, one of the things that's really beneficial, again, about StreamYard, and this is another best practice, is when you're going to multi-stream, you need to let the audience know because, again, Joe here's on Facebook, right? He's over here tuned on Facebook, but we have some people on YouTube and LinkedIn and even Twitter. The YouTube people don't see Joe in their comments, in that comment feed, in that live comment feed, right? So they're kind of like, what the heck is going on? Who's this Joe guy? What is happening? So if you're not like open with them and letting them know that you're streaming in multiple locations, then they're going to get confused and it tends to make people kind of stand back. And so it could be, Joe, that the audience isn't aware of what's going on. Also, the best practice is to display that comment, repeat, let's say, Joe over on Facebook has a great question that I want to answer, right? And displaying that comment using StreamYard is going to help those viewers over on YouTube and wherever else see the comment, read the comment. That is going to help that comment sink in versus just you repeating it. So displaying the comment and reading the comment out loud, definitely a best practice in general when it comes to fostering engagement, but especially important if you are multi-streaming, right? So when it comes to, I would say, make sure the content, again, is good for both audiences. There should be nothing about the engagement that squashes. In fact, whenever I multi-stream, my engagement is increased significantly, massively different. So it really should be better. It could be that you just need to make sure you present the experience a little bit differently. And maybe some of the things I talked about will help you do that. So I'm still checking on everything. Great. So Gabriella is actually, this is perfect because it's leading me into the next part of Teresa's question. So again, Teresa's question, the second part of it was, hey, will all the comments show up in one place or will they be scattered around on the pages? So when it comes to StreamYard inside the dashboard, any of you that have used StreamYard, you know that you will see all the comments in the comments tab on the right side inside your dashboard. You will see all comments. So all the comments from all the platforms will show up in that feed and you will actually see everything there. So let me just do something that we started doing lately. At least I did yesterday, and I'm going to do it today. I'm going to take a screenshot. Hold on. Let me smile first. You know, if you're going to take a screenshot and you're going to be on screen, pro tip here, you should smile first. All right, here we go. I'm going to take a screenshot of my dashboard, and then I'm going to actually display this for you guys. So this is what the dashboard looks like, so y'all can see what this is. All right, so here's the dashboard with my smiling face, right? If you look over here, you will notice, well, right here. See all that? Those are the comments from, we got John on YouTube. There's Joe from Facebook, right? Here's a LinkedIn comment right here, right? So you will actually see all of the comments inside of the dashboard. So, and you can click on each comment and display those. So you guys see these comments, right? So here's Joe's comment as I pull it up. Here is the LinkedIn comment as I pull it up, right? So Gabriella, yes, you can absolutely see all the comments from the different platforms inside of the StreamYard dashboard. So super, super great. Definitely a big fan of that. So wanted to show that. Joe's following up, says that was not my question. My question was, if I stream from my personal Facebook page and my Facebook group page, will that split my audience? I don't understand. No. So if someone is following you on your personal page, if someone's following on your personal page and they are inside your group, they will see Joe's live, and they will probably see the first notification that shows up will most likely be the Facebook page live stream. That's what I've noticed in my experience. So, but as far as splitting your audience, it shouldn't split your audience. So, but what you might want to do is, if you're live inside of a group and you're live on a Facebook page, you should talk about it, and you should be telling people, hey, if you're not part of this group already, you should join the group. Make a call to action, create one of those banners and say, join the group. Again, you should be driving traffic to that group. And so that's kind of something that's really key. This goes back to, should you be live streaming to both locations? If you're looking for creating an exclusive experience for your group, you might want to consider not multi-streaming. If you multi-stream, now let me give you guys a fun tip here. Now, Joe, let me give you a fun tip. What you could do, this is actually kind of like a pro tip. You can start a stream on a Facebook page and a Facebook group and YouTube if you want, all at the same time. You could do a teaching, you can do an interview, you could have a special guest. And then you could say, all right, now we're going to go into live Q&A for my Facebook group members only. So if you want to be part of the live Q&A, hurry up, make sure you come join my Facebook group. Okay. And here's the link to it. Get them over there. And then you can, up inside your dashboard again. Hold on. Let me turn these, let me undo. Let me see if I can undo these. Oh, it's not going to. Hold on. Okay. There we go. All right. Let me show this screen again. Okay. Inside your dashboard, you will notice right up here. All right. Right here. Do you see all this? These destinations? This shows where we're streaming inside the dashboard. All right. You can see we're streaming to it like a little test group of our own. We've got our Facebook page, Facebook group, LinkedIn, YouTube and Twitter. If you go to edit while you're live and you click edit, you can then literally turn off destinations and your live stream will continue going. And so you can say, all right, live Q&A time. So join the group, and then you can turn off the Facebook page that you're streaming to and stay live in the group. So again, some people worry. They're like, you know what? I don't want to overdo this multi-streaming because, again, why would somebody be inside my Facebook group if I'm creating all the same content on all these other platforms? Well, you can create exclusive content, and that's one of the ways you can create exclusive content. So super, super fun, right? Okay. Yes, Christine, you can stream to a Facebook group on the StreamYard free account. You absolutely can, but you cannot multi-stream. So you can't multi-stream. Okay, so there was that one. Hopefully, Joe, that helps. Hopefully that helped you. Okay, want to check in on you guys again, right? Okay, let me see here. Checking in on you guys. You guys are fantastic today. I love this. Christine, the number of, so she says, can I do a live stream on my channel? Because I don't have 1,100,000. You don't have to have any quantity of followers to be able to live stream to Facebook or YouTube. You have to apply to stream to LinkedIn. YouTube, you used to have some particular limitations. I do not believe you have to be to any point before you can live stream at all. She says, I have 200 subscribers. Yes, you should be able to live stream. You just need to go turn it on. You need to go apply for that function and make it happen. Okay. All right. Let me check in on everybody quickly. Again, I got to scroll up because I was talking for a long time. My goodness. I want to check in on you guys. This is interesting. So Johnny says, there's something going on when streaming to Facebook groups, though, because I have a group of 61,000. And when I stream, there are only 2 people that show up. I do not think there is, I personally have not experienced this for myself. Have you, my thing I would say, Johnny, is have you been live streaming consistently, and are you seeing a decline if you've been live streaming to your group consistently? Or are you inconsistent, or are you kind of coming and going? Are you engaged in your group? There's a lot of reasons why Facebook engagement inside groups can decline, a lot of reasons, but there's nothing that I see personally or hear about or my fellow peers are experiencing either when it comes to streaming to groups. In fact, as I said, when somebody is multi-streaming and Facebook tells you so-and-so's live and you click on that notification, if you actually are following their page or even have a personal connection with them and they're multi-streaming to those locations and their group, when you click it, it takes you to the group. It defaults to the group. So I know they're prioritizing, and I know Facebook wants us to be using live video in our groups. They continue to say it all the time. And I just heard that the whole live audio thing that Facebook is experimenting with is going to open to groups, I think, first before it opens to public pages. So, I mean, there could be a number of factors there. I would definitely keep trying, definitely keep looking at it. Okay, let me check this out. Yes, okay, good. Rio, I knew there was a mobile limitation. So on YouTube, if you're streaming from a mobile, you will need a minimum of 1,000 subscribers. I did know that you have to have for mobile. Okay, so for mobile, but Christine, when you can absolutely be doing desktop streaming to YouTube. So definitely do that. This is why I love our community. This is why I love how everybody jumps in and helps each other out, right? I love it. Okay, so let's jump in. So these were the things we were talking about today. So we had 2 questions today that we kind of covered, and it was all related to multi-streaming. So I definitely would like to know if you have questions about the stuff we talked about today. Again, feature requests, support things. That's not for this stream. That's not for this stream. That's not for these comments. Send an email to support@streamyard.com if you have support problems. And if you have feature requests, send those over to contact@streamyard.com. So let me move my head a little bit in between there. All right, so we talked for Teresa, should she be multi-streaming to different pages? And we talked about, how it works. I showed you that the comments all come in on the same screen. And then Tim, of course, wanted to know, should we be streaming to as many platforms as possible or just focus on one? And so we talked about a lot of stuff. I talked about make sure your content makes sense to go on multiple platforms. Think about your audience on those platforms, right? And you also need to think about, does it make sense to mix those audiences? So I used the example of one of our StreamYard users, PokeGal, how she's got a YouTube channel that's very much about Pokemon, but she's also an attorney, full-time, and her LinkedIn is kind of more about that world. It wouldn't make sense for her to stream her Pokemon stuff over to LinkedIn because of the way she's using those platforms. The other thing that I will say about that, sort of related, is that when you are adding these channels, so as you're layering them, so, if you're just starting out, it is highly possible that you could just start out multi-streaming everywhere, as long as you have a captive audience because you've been using other formats. But if you are like, you're like me, you started out with Facebook, then you added YouTube. I just recently got approved for LinkedIn Live. Shout out to Christian. I think he did a little favor for me. He, phoned a friend, if you will. So got to say thanks to Christian. So I got that. I've been going live regularly, and I have built an audience, a community, and they are used to my weekly marketing chit chat and live Q&A. And it is very much like sometimes I'll have a topic, or I'll talk about something, I'll teach a strategy, very short teaching, but then I just do live Q&A. For me to just all of a sudden go coldly into YouTube and start all of a sudden streaming that to YouTube, I haven't really been that active, or LinkedIn. I haven't really been overly active on LinkedIn. Plus, my audience on LinkedIn, my connections, is a mixed bag. It's like people I went to college with, it's people I used to work with and when I was in corporate, it's people who follow me now, it's a bunch of people trying to pitch me and sell me stuff, it's a bunch of other marketing people. It is a mixed bag. Before I just all of a sudden start doing my weekly live Q&As over there, I need to warm that audience up. I need to kind of reintroduce myself to that audience. So my strategy is I'm going to be creating some single unit live videos on LinkedIn, which what that means is I'm just going to go live on LinkedIn. And I'm probably going to go back to some content I've shared in the past on my other channels and start using live video to share that content there. I'm going to warm that audience up. I need that audience, that mixed bag of connections, to be able to make a decision. Hey, is her content something I want to regularly consume? Do I want to tune into her live videos? I need them to make that like, know, and trust decision. And then when they get there, then when I am using live and I'm going regularly and multi-streaming, they're going to be used to it. They're going to be like, oh, Mel's doing a multi-stream. Sweet. Oh, Mel's on YouTube. Sweet. I like YouTube. I'm going to go subscribe to her YouTube channel. So that's my strategy with how I'm going to be layering in the other platform. So that's something I wanted you to think about too. So kind of wanted to share that quick little personal example of my own. All right. Let me check on you guys. So if we've got questions. All right. La, 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 da, 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 da. You guys, what questions do you have? We have lots of interesting comments today. Oh, there's the lawnmower people. Lots of interesting comments today. Here's a good one. I love this a lot. Very informative. Good. Okay, here we go. Here's a good question. So, Aretata, I'm going to totally butcher that. I'm so sorry. Can I stream to multiple places using StreamYard free plan? No, in order to multi-stream, you need to be on the basic plan, which allows you, as of right now, 3 destinations, or the professional plan, which allows you up to 8 destinations. Now, you don't have to go to all 8. And now you can also connect lots of destinations to your account on the free plan. So you can one day go live on Facebook, and then later you can go live on YouTube. But they're single unit live streams, right? Meaning there's just one live broadcast, one destination. But you can have multiple destinations hooked to your account. In order to multi-stream, you would need to be on the basic plan or the professional plan. So good question. All right, let me get to some questions here. This is a great reminder from our friend, the landlord advocate. So the other thing too is when you're streaming to a group, right? Now this is regardless of multi-streaming, they need to click on that link that says, facebook.com/stream, or excuse me, StreamYard.com/Facebook. Is that the link? Oh my God. Yeah, no, yes. It's Facebook.com/StreamYard. No, it's right. It's Facebook.com/StreamYard. The link that automatically gets added to your streams, right? I haven't had enough coffee. I need a sip of coffee for that one. Now, StreamYard, when you add a group as a destination to your stream, it's going to say, do you want comment instructions added to your post? You should check mark yes. You should always check mark yes, so that if somebody shows up in your stream and inside the dashboard it says Facebook user, you can tell people, hey, make sure you give Facebook permission or StreamYard permission to display your name and your face, right? That's important. StreamYard.com/Facebook, I think. That's a great reminder, though. Okay, let's get to some questions. Not feature requests. Let's see. Okay, this is a really great point. Okay, so this is a good correction. So back to what Christine was talking about earlier. She was asking about how, if she doesn't have 1,000 subscribers, can she live stream on YouTube? In order to go to YouTube, the app, and live stream from the YouTube mobile app, you have to have 1,000 subscribers before you're able to do that. That's what we call native live streaming, meaning you are using the native application like YouTube to live stream. You can Do the same with Facebook. You can do that on Instagram. Ooh, we should probably talk about Instagram while we're on this topic. So yes, you have to have 1,000 subscribers to use YouTube, the app, on your phone or a mobile device to live stream. However, as Norwood Ventures is pointing out, you absolutely can use StreamYard on a mobile device, right? So you go to StreamYard.com on Safari or Chrome if you're on an Android, and you can use StreamYard mobile on your phone, and you can stream to YouTube. Now that's a little different. So you're still using a third-party app. You don't have to have 1,000 subscribers to use a third-party application to stream to YouTube. So great clarification from Norwood Ventures there. I appreciate that. All right. Do you have any other questions? Lots of feature requests today. Y'all are really up in the feature requests, right? Oops, let me see here. So Kelly, how do I pay the StreamYard program so that I can when you go to your account, you just want to go to your StreamYard account, open up StreamYard, go to your account, and you can upgrade from there. You can upgrade to either the basic or you can upgrade to the pro plan, whatever you need to do. Joe says, can you multi-stream onto your guest platform also? This is such a good question. I love this question. So here's the way that this would work. It's not necessarily ideal as of right now. Now, I think once StreamYard Teams comes out, this will open things up a little more, which is coming later this summer. I think that's what I keep hearing. So what you can do though, Joe, so what Joe's describing is let's say Joe's like, hey, I have a guest. He has a Facebook page. I have a Facebook page, right? I want to stream to my page, but my guest would also like for this live broadcast to be streamed to his page, not just sharing it to his page, right? So your guest could share your live stream, right? That's easy. They just open that stream up, they share it. But what Joe's describing is, well, can they also stream it on their channel? So it'd be like, let's say Joe's guest is John Pullum, okay? So Joe's like, hey, I'm going to stream on my Joe page, but then it's going to literally, for John's audience, it'll say John Pullum is live. It'll be a live broadcast from John, right? Even though it's Joe's broadcast, John is his guest. This is definitely possible, and it can be recommended. Again, there's a lot to consider there. The way you would do this is you would need two things to happen. If it's a Facebook page, right, or a YouTube profile, that John Pullum could make you a temporary admin. So he could say, I'm making Joe an admin. And then once you're an admin, Joe, you can add that Facebook page as one of your destinations. The same goes for a group, Facebook group, or a YouTube channel, right? So that's one way. The other way would be for you, if John didn't want to do that, for you to give John access to your StreamYard account, which means you would say, John, here's my login email. So John would go and say, all right, Joe, blah, 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 email. And then StreamYard will say, hey, we just emailed you the code. And then Joe would need to email you, text you, somehow get you the code. And then John would log into your StreamYard account, which he would have access to everything. So be very careful who you hand the keys to. And then he can then add his own page at that point because he's logged in on his platforms over there. So he could then log in, add his own destination to your account. You can then remove that destination later, right? The thing is about this is you can't revoke John's access to your StreamYard account until his cache is cleared or until he logs out of your StreamYard account. So we have to keep that in mind. Be careful about who you hand the keys to. Now, when StreamYard Teams comes out, this is going to open up some doors for this type of collaboration. So great question. I know I just kind of gave you a weird little workaround style, but this is a super good question. This is a separate thing around a separate topic. So I think you are talking about when you have multiple antiques from Karen, when you have multiple inputs at the same time. We talked about that a couple weeks ago about multiple cameras. How can you have multiple cameras? And one of the ways was open up StreamYard in another browser window and enter the same broadcast, but select a different camera. So like, your other webcam or something. You would need to mute that microphone when you enter that studio. And then when you enter, you also have to turn off the speaker, whatever speaker is you're using, because if you have two speakers going and two mics going, you will consider echo. I don't know what you mean by the dongle though, but you can also send us a message and we will try to help you with that. Okay. All right, I'm checking this stuff out. Good question. Okay, so Keisha brought up Instagram, and we did bring this up. Right now, as of right now, Instagram's API is not open to third-party applications for live broadcasting. So they don't really want us using things like StreamYard to create a live video. If you think about when you watch a live video on Instagram and you think about, the experience you have, the size of the video, the way the comments are displayed, not overly conducive to this type of broadcast. Like if I had this little ticker going, you really wouldn't even be able to see it very well, right? So there's definitely, and Instagram is predominantly mobile users. I mean, even though you can use Instagram on a desktop now, it is like crazy. It is a mobile platform, essentially, right? And so they're trying to protect the user experience, and so they don't want too much production in their live broadcast as of right now, okay? So they really want you using the app natively to create content. They want you using the app natively to create your stories, your reels, all those things. They want you using all the little fun, quirky features and the GIFs and all the things you can add to your content. They want you using the app natively. So as of right now, it's not open to third-party applications for live broadcasting. So no, you cannot connect Instagram to your StreamYard account. Now, this goes back to multi-streaming. People ask me all the time, like, well, I have people on Instagram and I'm on YouTube. How would I multi-stream? The only way you could do that is you'd have to actually have two separate devices. So you could use StreamYard to live stream to your other destinations and then put your phone on a tripod and be broadcasting that way. I would caution you because, again, your Instagram users can't see the comments at all, even if you display them on your screen with StreamYard from YouTube or Facebook, and vice versa. So those audiences can't mix, as I mentioned. They can't really feel connected to each other. But you can make sure everybody knows it. Like Instagram audiences are a little more used to people doing this. So you could actually, what I would suggest is you go live on Instagram first and say, hey, I'm about to go live. Like if you use a countdown timer, you could give them a little behind the scenes, like, hey, we're starting our live video, and give them like some exclusive feel, like talk to them a little bit first, warm them up, let them know what you're doing. Because honestly, if anyone's going to be confused, it's going to be your Instagram viewers the most. Because you're going to be doing stuff on this screen and it's different and they can't see any of it. So really let them know what's going on and think about it. But you also need to consider maybe, is this a good idea, right? Is this a good idea? And the follow-up question about same thing with Instagram. So yes, hopefully that answered your question. Whoa, I lost my place in my comments. All right. Peter says, is there a way to stream to your website? There absolutely is. So there's a couple ways, okay? One way would be to stream to YouTube. And when you stream to YouTube, YouTube gives you, even if you schedule it, you get an embed file. You get that embed code. You could then take that embed code and you could put it onto your website. Now, depending on what website platform you're using and all that, some of these websites have automated widgets or plugins that will say, just put the YouTube link in there, and they're going to like put that thing on there. So you can do it that way. There's also other ways you can use custom RTMP with other applications that are connected to your site that will do the same thing. So the disadvantage to this, though, is that your live comments aren't going to display over on that website unless you have, again, code that's going to pull that stuff into your feed. So this is actually, some people will use this method that Peter's describing for webinars or exclusive content that they want to kind of, hey, you have to, opt in to get access to this live stream. And then, they opt in, they give you the email, and then you email them a link that's basically hidden to the rest of the world that takes them to that unique website page. A lot of people will do that as well. This is a fun question, but I don't think I can dive into it today. Norwood says, what experiments have you tried on your live streams, whether that was using GIFs, videos, etc., and what were the results? I will say this, when I play around with stuff and experiment, my audience really likes it. In fact, they kind of lean on me to experiment with things. In fact, my very first piece of content that I ever helped StreamYard with was a result of an experiment, which was me putting a GIF on screen of myself. So literally creating an overlay of myself on screen and having some fun like that, like right there. So animated GIF of myself, put it on screen, had some fun with it. And next thing you know, fast forward and here I am helping you all with Ask StreamYard stuff. So I definitely think that you can get results. It shows that you're having fun, you're trying new things, experimenting. I find that using StreamYard and even other stuff, if you play around and experiment, you will learn things, you will learn tricks. And I think that it's actually enjoyable, but also you just might unlock some really cool features that you never even knew existed. So Norwood, I hope that my answer earlier confirmed there's not a mixed bag of whether people are using StreamYard to stream to Instagram. StreamYard does not stream to Instagram, so there's no mixed bag. Now I will say there are some people who have gone rogue and they have found a way, and there are some applications out there that are kind of promoting that they can stream to Instagram. It is against Instagram's policy. So be very careful. Even if you find somebody or find an app that claims they can do it, be very, very careful because it is against their policy to do it. There are, of course, workarounds. There's very smart people in this world that can figure out a hack to anything, but be very, very careful for sure. Okay. I'm reading your questions. I'm trying to get here. What tips do you have on expanding audience? Well, I do think that multi-streaming absolutely can play a contributing part to expanding your audience for sure. So definitely multi-streaming, again, taking into consideration all the things we talked about earlier, which was, is the content relatable to each of those audiences? Should it be streamed to each of those audiences? And then, of course, can your audience mix, right? And also be aware of alienating any of those audiences that need that feeling of exclusivity, meaning that you are taking care of them in a unique way. Because when you start multi-streaming, they don't feel like they have this exclusivity anymore. So those are the big things that I want you to be thinking about when it comes to this, as well as the tech. Multi-streaming, you're adding a layer of complexity, but I will tell you that StreamYard makes it very, very simple and very easy. You see all the comments in there. So think about all those things. The other bonus tip that I will give you is to do interviews. So by doing interviews, using StreamYard to do interviews, and even multi-streaming, and maybe even considering, what Joe asked earlier about letting the other person have the keys, or you getting access to add their pages to your account so you can stream to their pages as well. When you start having guests on your show, that guest is going to share your show with their audience. And so you are going to get exposure to their audience as well. This is very likely. It's very unlikely that this doesn't happen. Now, if you've got like a big star on your show, they're not necessarily going to share it. They may not share it. They're not sharing all their guest appearances. But for the most part, people will share, hey, I'm going to be on Norwood Ventures YouTube channel talking about whatever it might be, come join us. People will be like, well, who's Norwood Ventures? And they're going to check you out. They're going to do a quick scan of your content. Ooh, I like this channel. This looks like some good stuff. Subscribe. So that's how it happens a lot. So the other opposite, the flip side to that would be to you try to be a guest on other people's content as well. This is a really great way to expand your audience in a very organic fashion that's also pretty authentic. So when we are placing ads and doing all that stuff, not that it's inauthentic, it's just when you are sharing, you're having a guest on your show and he's sharing it with his audience or she's sharing it with her audience, those people are getting to make a decision that they want to follow you. So they're probably a legit follower, meaning they're a good, captive, new audience member. And so that's kind of key for sure. Good coffee this morning. Okay, let me check out. I saw a couple questions. I just want to make sure. Okay, good question. Oops, I'm sorry. All right, here we go. Is there a way to include tagging your guest's Facebook account or page when live in StreamYard? So Marco Jacobs, great question. There's not a way inside the studio, but the trick to this would be you have your StreamYard dashboard, everything open, your studio's open, right? I keep saying dashboard when I mean studio. I'm so sorry. Either open up that same stream, but actually natively in the app on your phone or on, another web browser. Just be careful about audio, right? You don't want to have your live feed playing and going into your microphone because you will create a really distracting experience for your audience. You can be commenting there, right? You can be commenting and you can use all the features of tagging and whatnot in that way. One of the benefits to using a countdown timer is actually that you can go live and then while you're counting, let's say it's 60 seconds, right? The clock is ticking. Open up that stream in another browser and actually edit. You can actually comment on it right there, okay? And you can actually make those adjustments right there or and tag people or share it and tag them when you share it to something or whatever. That's what a lot of people use that countdown timer for is they go live and then they have a few things they need to do really quick to kind of share it or do certain things that you can't do before you're live. And so that would be a way to try around with that. Mike says, Melanie is experimenting on us right now, ? Yeah, I'm always doing that. Okay, let's see. Facebook stars. Is it possible to configure StreamYard for Facebook stars during a live stream in Facebook and YouTube? I do know that YouTube super chats, that absolutely comes through StreamYard. So a super chat, it's actually like highlighted. So it's like in the comments, it's like highlighted in like green. So you don't miss it. As far as Facebook stars though, I do not believe that those are connected at this time. But let me see here. A lot of questions that are not related to multi-streaming. Again, so if you guys have feature requests, it's not that we don't want to hear them. It's just that this particular stream and topic is about multi-streaming. Okay, so camera switching, TikTok, other things. Definitely send those in to contact@streamyard.com. That's where feature requests need to go. I'm not going to be addressing feature requests. First of all, I don't know when new features are coming out. I would love to, but also that the purpose of this stream is we're talking about multi-streaming today. So please understand that we want to stay on topic for it today. Okay, let me see. Okay, let me scroll down. I'm scrolling around here. Quickly, so Tanya, is there a template in Canva to create overlays? There aren't templates right now natively in Canva. I'm sure they're going to be coming because so many people are using Canva to create overlays. But I check out the YouTube, our StreamYard's YouTube channel, as well as the StreamYard blog. There are articles and videos about creating overlays, and Canva is one of those featured items to do that, for sure. Let me see. I keep accidentally scrolling and losing my place on my questions for you guys. So, okay, let me see. I don't see any other multi-streaming questions. I see other questions that are fantastic. You guys also, like some of these questions, go inside our Facebook group and post these questions and use the hashtag #AskStreamYard, and we might feature it in one of our upcoming shows. So if your question is not related to multi-streaming, just definitely would love to address these, but they're not really related to multi-streaming. And I am going to have to close us down today. I would like to keep going with you guys, but this is hilarious. Now I know what multi-streaming is. Maybe I spell it wrong. Christian and I were just having this funny conversation the other day. We're like, is it live streaming one word? Is it live hyphen streaming? Is it live space streaming? And I'm like, yeah, same with multi-streaming. Like I see it spelled all these different ways. So you have nothing to worry about on that one for sure. All right. Any questions around the multi-streaming? I would love to take at least one or two more. But again, let me just do a quick reminder for y'all. So if you're not already part of our Facebook group, definitely join us. All you got to do is go over to Facebook, search StreamYard community, and it will pop up right there. It's like the first thing that shows up. Join this community. I'm in the community. All the other live streaming content creators are in that community. Our StreamYard content creators, our StreamYard staff, and a lot of you guys, amazing people that are showing up on these streams, helping each other in the comments. I love the community because pretty much every time I see a question get posted, even if I know the answer, I go to start to answer it and somebody's already beat me to it. And so a lot of the questions you guys are asking, these questions have been asked in our community, and you can even just search for that question and you'll probably find the answer you're looking for. So if you are looking to level up your live videos, learn more about StreamYard, learn more about marketing yourself, I mean, using live video, whether it be, Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever, a lot of these people in this community are doing the same thing. There are some amazing guest experts in there. There are people that are live streaming pros, and there are also people that are like you, learning to use live video to either expand their audience, grow their business, or just have fun, And so definitely be a part of this community. I love the community. It's awesome. So also the next episode of Ask StreamYard is next week. Kevin Colby will be on our Ask StreamYard next week, and he's going to be talking about headphones and audio and all those types of things. So I saw a couple questions around that. So definitely tune in next week. He's going to be talking about the scenarios about headphones, why you should wear them, when you should wear them, when you don't need them, what kind of headphones you should wear. And he'll probably answer all kinds of audio questions as well on that episode. So definitely tune in next Wednesday at 11 o'clock for that show. All right. I don't know if I have any other questions. It's okay. Roger says, I thought my question was related to multi-streaming. Roger, let me find your question. Maybe it was, and I just missed it. Oh, this one. Is Twitter keen on live video and streaming as Facebook is? Do you have any Twitter-specific tips? You know what? The whole live thing on Twitter, I will tell you, I'll be honest with you, Roger, not a huge Twitter person. I'm not a big Twitter user, but I do know that I'm hearing lots of interesting stories about people getting results in their live videos and all this stuff with Twitter. So it's different. And I think it's absolutely worth exploring. If you have an audience, if you are a Twitter user and you want to be using Twitter, you should totally be using live video over there, because all of these platforms, here's what I'll say about it. All of these platforms are leaning into video. They just are. Video, now we have audio really starting to make an introduction into these platforms. This type of live media, especially, I keep saying this. I've been saying this I feel like I've been saying it till I'm blue in the face lately. It's live, interactive, two-way communication. And before live video, before live audio, we didn't have a way to have real-time interaction with our audience. And that real-time interaction is really, really valuable because, for example, I can talk to you guys. I can say, hey, don't ask this type of question. Or we can steer the conversation. Somebody brought up Instagram. I'm like, oh yeah, Instagram. And if somebody hadn't mentioned Instagram, I would have maybe have forgotten to talk about Instagram and how it relates to multi-streaming, right? But because people asked me to talk about it, I was able to say, okay, yeah, I'll talk about Instagram. That's real-time communication, right? And so there's value in that. There's value in it for two reasons. One, you're learning about your audience right there in the moment. And two, you're taking care of them. And you're learning about what they want, and they're learning about what you can offer and what you do. And that real-time communication, people appreciate it. You develop a connection with somebody when you have that real-time two-way communication. And live video and live audio are the ways to do it. So I do think that everyone should be embracing live video regardless of the platform and regardless of the history of the platform, right? So all of these platforms are definitely embracing video because they're seeing that that's what people like, that's what they want, it works, and it is increasing the quality of the experience on the platform. So they're naturally going to lean towards it. I definitely think everyone should be paying attention to this interesting shift we're starting to see with live audio as well. So don't be afraid to try it, explore new things, use applications that make your life easier, like StreamYard, makes it so easy to do all this stuff. And just go for it, right? Just go for it. I like it. All right. John's got my last question for today. I think it's a question. I think if you are streaming on numerous places, you're taking away the views and the engagement on, let's say, YouTube. If you want to grow on a platform, it might be best to stick with, what would Mel do? To stick with it. John makes a good point. So if your number one goal is to grow your YouTube platform, for example, then you should put 90% of your efforts into YouTube. However, I do think that there is opportunity to bring people to YouTube. So for example, if you have these followers on Facebook, how do they even know you have a YouTube channel, right? So you definitely need to be driving traffic in the direction you want to go. The same goes for if you have an email list and you want to grow an email list, right? Somebody brought up email list earlier. Then you want to be driving traffic to the email list. If you don't talk about your lead magnets or your content upgrades or any of that, no one's going to subscribe to your email list. So I do think multi-streaming gives you the opportunity to spread the knowledge. But absolutely, if you are all in on YouTube and that's your main focus, then you need to be creating lots of content for YouTube. Again, it goes back to the exclusivity. I do believe you still need a place. You need to have some sort of maximized effort. The multi-streaming is just, you have to have that goal in mind. Why am I multi-streaming? What am I trying to do? And I do think that a lot of people don't know where they want to spend most of their time. They're not sure yet. They're like, I don't know. I have people on Facebook. I have people on YouTube. They're all over the place. Well, then be multi-streaming and lean in the direction that naturally flows. Honestly, crazy thing, when I multi-stream now, 80% of my live viewers are YouTube viewers. If you asked me a year ago if that was going to happen, I would have said, I don't know. I'm not really a YouTuber. So you never know what's going to happen. And when you start multi-streaming, you might find that your direction will pivot, but follow the natural flow of the way you feel things gravitating. So definitely, again, trying new things, trying things out. Okay, here we go. I want to do a quick recap because today we answered 2 questions. This was the Ask StreamYard show, and we talked about multi-streaming because both Teresa and Tim posted in our Facebook community. They asked about multi-streaming, and we talked about all kinds of stuff today. This was a beefy topic, so I appreciate all of you that stuck with me this whole time and let me flow through all these things. So we talked about some best practices. We also talked about some things to consider, but multi-streaming is definitely possible when you are on the StreamYard basic plan. You can multi-stream to 3 destinations. And if you're on the professional plan, you can StreamYard to up to 8 destinations. And that includes custom RTMP, which means destinations that aren't automatically integrated with StreamYard. For example, Vimeo, Workplace Teams, those types of things. So I want you all to know we are live every Wednesday at 11 a.m. for the Ask StreamYard show. Next week, we've got Kevin up. He's going to be talking about headphones and audio. It's going to be a great show, so definitely make sure you have it on your calendar. And if you haven't subscribed already to our YouTube channel, make sure you do that because we have all kinds of great tips and tutorials. In fact, a lot of the questions that you guys were asking about today, absolutely. We have tips and tutorials that answer a lot of those questions that you guys were asking about today that weren't quite related to multi-streaming. But so definitely make sure that you're over there, subscribe to that. And also be sure to check out our blog, the StreamYard blog. So you can find that blog if you go to the StreamYard website or go to StreamYard.com/blog, and you'll find there's a slew of articles, tons of articles. In fact, there's even articles about RTMP, there's articles about Canva, there's articles about overlays, all kinds of stuff. They just came out with some new content as well. So make sure that you check that out. But until next time, my friends, I will be out there in the world. I hope that you are out there in the world using live video. And just again, today we talked about multi-streaming. Don't feel pressured that you have to multi-stream, but definitely think about it as part of your strategy because you can see a lot of really great benefits from it. And if you're just now tuning in, make sure you go back and catch the replay because I talked about some things that you need to consider when you are going to be thinking about multi-streaming. So there's some good things and there are some bad things. There are some good ways and there are some bad ways when it comes to multi-streaming. So definitely consider it, but make sure you have fun. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you next time.